Hello, everybody, and welcome to the No Zone. We are here to discuss our all-time favorite comedies. So I hope you are all doing well. Start to the week. It's we have a bit of cloud and sun here. It's a bit of a mad day, as you always have. We got TARDIS Spider in the chat. Nice to see you, pal. Nice to see you. We will have Christian with us now in just a few minutes. But as I said, we are going to be discussing our all-time favorite comedy. So that's we got Raymond O'Reilly, and he's on Facebook, and his name comes up. So I think there is a setting on Facebook where you can actually change it so your name comes up. So nice to see Ray in the chat. I suspect every time we get a like on Facebook or a comment, it does be Ray. So it's nice to see Ray in there as well. So yeah, we're going to be discussing our favorite comedies from TV and obviously from the movies. And I'm pretty sure people will have a lot of movies and TV shows that they grew up with that will enter their list. You don't have to just have one, folks. If there's a couple of comedies out there that you class as all time, let us know. That's what these streams are all about. So as I said, just waiting on my co-host, so we won't get started until my co-host gets here. But if you're a football fan and you support Manchester United, I've just done a stream over there on Noel the Red Devil. You can check it out. We've got 401 subscribers on the Irish Geek, where we do some gaming streams. I've also bought a snooker game now, so I might do some snooker tournaments on stream. So if you want to check them out, please do. We'll be back here tomorrow with PD and hopefully Queen Charlotte, and we will be discussing, we discuss different topics on that stream. So yeah, so we got a couple of people watching right now at the moment. Obviously, it's coming up to everybody's tea time, so some people won't be in stream. So for you guys in the chat right now that are here, do us a favor and let us know what your all-time favorite comedies are. They could be from UK, could be from anywhere, whatever comedies, TARDIS Spider you grew up with that you love, that's in your all-time list. That's what I am looking for. So take part, guys, because this stream doesn't work unless you guys take part. We're trying to be a bit more, as we've always said, we try to be as interactive as possible on here. So these streams don't work unless you actually take part in them. So give us your opinions. Very, very important indeed. And as I said, we're waiting on Christian. I have sent them the link, so hopefully he will be here. In due course, we'll just double check and make sure that that link did actually send to him. Just on a side note before we get started, so Twitter has officially changed to X now. It's still Twitter on my phone, but on my desktop it's X now. It looks all right. I mean, we knew this was coming, but the board, whether you like Twitter or not, the board is a kind of like iconic symbol, and it's kind of gone now. So what can you do? So I'm pretty sure Christian is probably getting set up. Just remind him that the link is sent because it says he's active now. So he's probably setting up as we speak. So still nothing in the chat from you guys. As I said, guys, these streams don't work unless you take part, so don't be shy. Let me know what your favorite all-time comedies are. It doesn't have to be restricted to your country. If there are comedies out there that you grew up with while you were a kid that inspired you, or you think are in your all-time list, please let me know. TARDIS Spider says, as a kid, Gilligan's Island, 70s, Happy Days, Are You Being Served? Yeah, I watched Happy Days myself. I think I watched Gilligan's Island and definitely watched You Being Served. But thank you for letting us know. Is there any particular reason, though, just to elaborate on your comment, is there any particular reason why you chose Gilligan's Island, 70s Happy Days, and Are You Being Served? And you said 80s Red Dwarf and Hello Hello. Again, same thing. Is there a particular reason why you chose those particular shows? I was a huge fan of Hello Hello. It was a huge program actually in my household. I remember sitting down every Saturday, BBC One, watching that. That was prime time TV back in the day. It was actually great. Red Dwarf, I got into that a little bit later, but Red Dwarf, if I'm correct in saying, wasn't it on BBC Two? I could be wrong there. I'm pretty sure it was BBC Two. And I watched that as well. We watched anything that was on BBC and ITV, because that's what we had in the 80s. And then obviously as television expanded, obviously we got more stations and more choices as the years went on. But interesting choices there. As I said, huge fan of Hello Hello. A great show actually about obviously the Nazi occupation of France. Very well done. And Rene, he was brilliant. Yeah, great shows, man. Great shows. The comedy back then, obviously, was especially in Hello Hello, would be called lowbrow comedy now, wouldn't it? But at the time, it was very much of its time and it was very good. You couldn't remake Hello Hello today; it just wouldn't work. TARDIS Spider says, "My taste changed as I aged. Gilligan's Island was aimed at us, and of course, Mary Ann and Ginger," says TARDIS Spider. Here we go. Just my computer is running a bit slow, but here he is. Got Christian from the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS with
Wait a minute, we're dressed? We're showing our faces, really?
Yeah, I've got the camera on. I've been doing it the last few streams because I'm streaming on the other channel. Because when you stream do Manchester United streams, the United fans expect to see your face when you're criticising the team or you're praising the team. So I said, you know what? Sure, Sharon got this. I've been threatening to be on camera for a long time. So yeah, I've been on camera the last few streams, and it will continue. I'll be on camera from now on. I won't be, unless I can't get the camera working, which sometimes happens. But the majority of the time, I will be on
Well, I mean, if
camera.
you got a few minutes, I can change out my shirt at least and look proper, like a.
Well, if you want to, it's up to you. You don't have to go on camera if you don't want to, but if you want
Well,
to, go
I'll,
for it. Knock yourself out.
I'll tell you what. We'll start now, and somewhere when you're talking, I'll just send you a message and say, hey, I'm changing, and I'll come right back and be camera ready for you. I'll know this now in the future that I will be seen, I guess. And of course, what I watch depends on how I feel in the moment. Right now, I feel like Cast of the Summer Wine, but for now, I like a good laugh. Are we? When you mentioned comedies, were you referring to TV or movies or all the above? Oh
Both.
my god!
You can. Yeah, I mean that's why I wanted to expand it a little bit so we wouldn't keep it. It wasn't limited, so that way then it opens up all. I mean, Tardis Spider, as I said, yeah, as a kid, Gilligan's Island, Happy Days, Are You Being Served, Red Dwarf, and LOLO were stuff that he grew up with. So stuff like that, yeah. If there's movies like The Blues Brothers, that's considered one of the best comedies ever made. I'm not sure about that. I do like The Blues Brothers, but I don't get the hype for that movie, to be quite honest with you. But that's just me. I'm a
No,
bit
you're
weird
not.
when it comes to
You're not the
comedies.
only one. I saw that movie. I don't think it was a bad movie, but I was just sitting there going like, "What am I watching?"
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was kind of like I get it, and it's Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi at the height of their
Yeah,
career.
it's a
So
cult classic. It's classed as a cult classic, but I just don't see it personally. But I can understand why a lot of people do like the movie. I mean, it does have its moments and it is funny in parts, but it's not my type of comedy. And with blues or jazz anyway, doesn't really float my boat. So I can appreciate it, but I'm not a fan.
well, I think also the discussion because I was when you mentioned comedies, I was like, oh boy, because where is the line drawn? I mean, I one of my hello TARDIS spider. Sorry, I think I just got the chat. One of my comedies is a movie, but it's considered dark comedy. Is Time Bandits,
Hmm.
and it was a fun, but it was dark comedy. But you could tell that there, Sean Connery, he looked like he was having a good time. Everybody on that staff looked like they were having a good time. David Warner is supposed to be the most evil thing in the world, but what was it? That line is go slugs. He created slugs that can't walk, stuff like that. So I guess where is the comedic line drawn? And wow, I mean, comedies. Where do I even begin? Red Dwarf, of course, that's my favorite show. And then when I tell people growing up, uh, how do you relate Red Dwarf? And the only way I can explain it to people who are probably not familiar is that if Douglas Adams wrote a TV series, Red Dwarf would have been it. But the guys who wrote it, and I can't think of the name, Grant and Naylor, just phenomenal guys who wrote that. Geez, I mean, where do we begin? I mean, I know we can't say the name, so I'll briefly put it out there. But I meant my TV dad was Cosby. I think everybody's TV dad was Cosby. The Cosby Show. That
I
was the
watched it.
big thing. It was big
Not,
enough
I'm
to
not
have
gonna
two
lie.
spinoffs.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched. I think everybody in on this side of the pond in America watched the Cosby Show. Obviously, we didn't know what was happening. Um, Only years later we found out. He still always maintains his innocence. We won't get into it, but he still maintains that he's innocent and he was set
Yeah.
up because obviously he was a powerful black man. Now we have seen celebrities stitched up before, so it isn't beyond the realms of possibility. But I just don't know. But he still to this day is maintaining. A lot of these people normally crack and we find out that
Hmm.
they're guilty, but he's maintained all the way through that he's been set up, and I wouldn't be. Oh, look, I wouldn't be surprised, but what I've heard and the stuff that we've heard that he done, it's kind of
Well, to
it's
make
kind
things to make things short, when I first heard the controversy, I'm like, the guy's 80. he to me he was kind of like the uncle in my family because he raised me. And it's just it'd be no different than if somebody said, that one uncle that you have, he was really a bad dude that you really appreciated, liked, honor him, and he raised you. And Cosby raised me, TV wise. I think there's a lot of
Mm.
TV fathers out there kind of raised you over time, and he was one of them. That's where I got some of my humor from. That's where I got some, bad day. If I was watching it, Cosby was okay, but not much must watch for me. Most of the American comedies started to be all the same in the '80s. I can, yeah, because you started seeing the fruition of the family sitcoms, Family Matters, Growing Pains, all that. It kind of went across the board after a while. It was more the
Yeah.
Family Ties. All those shows were but it was appreciated because it was focusing on the family, and they did go into those every once in a while. They would do like a mash where they went into a controversial topic, and they used their comedy to make a good story around that. And Cosby was just one of them, of many. But he was the more popular. I don't see it as Cosby was a popular black man. I think he was a cultural icon and an influencer during his time. And he was a positive. I remember him in picture pages growing up. If anybody remembers that, he was a positive influence. So for somebody to tell me in 2020 something that he's done all this, it was hard for me to even process it. And then things came out, and it's just like, oh my God, really? Because I kind of went on the defense from him. Like, wait, the guy's 80. Why are you bringing this up now? He was popular in the 80s and 90s, and that's where his comedy
Well,
range
the argument was is that he was very
60s.
powerful, and they feared that if they came. I don't know, man. It seems. Look, one day we'll find out whether it was true or not. But all we could say is that he was a big. It is true. He was a big part of everybody's childhood. But Scottish Davros and friends wrestle with pop culture, obviously being from Scotland. So he grew up with Faulty Towers' father, Ted Little Britain, still game in
Yeah.
between his dinner ladies, keeping up appearances, which I loved as well. As some of my favourites. One Foot in the Grave would be another one that I'd throw in there. And of course, you have to throw in Only Fools and Horses, probably up there with Faulty Towers. But Faulty Towers, I think, takes the number one spot as probably the best British comedy ever made. But I would say Only Fools and Horses is a close second.
Yeah.
But TARDIS
Yeah.
Spider said this in relation to Cosby. Cosby was okay, but not must watch for me. Most of the American comedies started to be all the same in the 80s.
No, he's right, because we started getting those family shows like Charles in Charge, Who's the Boss, Family Ties. I mean, Married with Children came into that equation. Silver Spoons. Uh, it became more Roseanne. Those started its fruition through the family, but you kind of get like, the dad is the patriarchy over there like that, and mom's always coming in there to razz him, and it's just like, yeah, well, you know and that seems to be the formula, and the kids are doing their own things and they're learning stuff, and the dad and you're just watching the interaction. And basically it's on the acting and the good writing that you were watching, is to see those interactions take place and how they were, constantly challenged from time to time. But it always focused more on the family. There's probably a ton more that I could probably go over, but those are the ones off the top of my head. As far as uh, comedies, again, I grew up PBS. I know mentioned this in the old show. Dave Allen at Large, The Two Ronnies, Monty Python. Uh, wow, I can't. I'm trying to do this. Benny Hill. Those are my comedians. Those were the comedies I grew up with, and I consider. We had this discussion before. Just to reiterate, I find British humor more cerebral than American humor. To me, American humor is more slapstick, more quick timing, uh, things of that nature. And you see
Actually,
that
I
in
would say
Friends.
I would actually go further and say British comedy is more intelligent than American comedy.
You can do that. That's why I'm using the term cerebral, because
Mm.
when you get to the punchline of things like Red Dwarf, like Faulty Towers, like Dave Allen at Large, when he would tell a story and he would just hold you there, and then you would get to the punchline. So everything was worth it. It was a long ride, but when you got to that, it was even harder and funnier because you went along with that ride and it kept going and going and going and going. And then the punchline hits, and it's even funnier than somebody just falling over, a banana peel on the ground. You get a quick laugh, but something cerebral. You're talking about that. Those are the jokes that you're telling friends when you go out and you say something, when you're trying to converse with people. Those are the fun jokes that you tell. The stuff that you see in American comedies is usually like one sentence, one phrase, or something like that. It's a catchphrase. And notably, like a series like Friends was known for that. I can't think of things off the top of my head, but you would hear people talk to each other in that one line, and people would immediately go, "Oh, you're talking about that scene from Friends in line." Whereas Red Dwarf, my God, the opening scene to one of the episodes was the missing page of the Bible, and I thought that was the most hysterical thing. And I consider myself a guy of faith in some respect, and I thought that was the funniest line. And here's the missing page of the Bible, and it says these people are fictitious and not or something like that. I was just like, oh my God, they went there, but it wasn't mean spirited or anything. It was funny. It was cool.
We got a couple of comments that I'll go back up. I threw them up on screen, but we'll go back and read them. So Tarda Spoiler asked, what about for skit comedy Chewing the Fat? I don't know if I actually watched that, got to be honest. Tarda Spoiler again then said, what was it? There it is there. Cosby was popular in the 60s, 70s. Also, I Spy, the Bill Cosby Show. That's true. Bill Cosby was everywhere. But little did we know that some of these people that we grew up with would end up, some of them anyway, being despicable people and getting away with it. Daniel, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was quality. And Tarda Spoiler agreed. Fresh Prince was good. The Fresh Prince actually was... The reason why the Fresh Prince actually worked was because not only did it do comedy, it dealt with social issues very well. I mean, the one where they get held up, do you remember, at gunpoint, and then what's his face? Carlton buys a gun, do you remember? Will Smith ends up, Will ends up being shot.
Going to be honest, I'm probably one of 5 people who have rarely seen The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Rarely seen it.
Well, bottom line is what I'm trying to say is they dealt with social issues in that as well, but it was very well done. But good bit of comedy, and the acting was absolutely fantastic. Tarda Spoiler again said, yes, I agree, UK is better. That's why I don't watch American TV anymore. I think that's a bit... I mean, I will agree with you. I think the level of quality of American TV has dipped. But there are still 1 or 2 gems getting through. I wouldn't totally dismiss American TV, but they do, I will have to say, they're not as good as they were decades ago. Everybody Loves Raymond was great too. You had Third Rock from the Sun. I mean, American comedy, in fairness to American comedy, I mean, they did very well in the 90s and the early 2000s with comedies. America were pumping out some good quality comedy shows and different variety of comedy shows, unlike what they were doing in the 80s, where a lot of these comedies were family orientated and stuff like, oh, it was the same generic stuff. It's at least in the 90s and the early 2000s, they changed that up and you got different sorts of comedies, even with Futurama and stuff like that. Then the advent of 20 years ago, you had The Simpsons in its heyday, South Park. American TV, American comedy is not as bad as we think. But let's be honest, it's gone through a bad phase now. But to say that, I wouldn't stop watching American TV. There's still good shows, personally. personally. But it's hard to spoiler. I get where you're kind of coming from. I mean, nobody really has the motivation, let's be honest, whether it's American TV, UK TV, or even in your own country. I don't think anybody has the motivation to watch TV right now at the moment. And everybody is just going and exploring
Well,
their childhood, their past. And that's what I've been doing. You know,
well,
TJ Hooker, I'm on Dallas now. You know, I'm moving up through them all and I'll continue. I'll watch Highway to Heaven. You know, I love all of that. I was watching Quantum Leap as well, started Quantum Leap as well. I'm having a great time. All TV, can't beat it. But go on, Christian.
well, I was going to say you have way more of a selection now than you ever did, and with the streaming services, including if you bring into like YouTube, where we're creating
That's a bad
content
thing though,
now,
Christian.
anybody can be up
Christian,
there. Yeah.
Christian, I'll ask you this question, but isn't the advent of all of this and all of these new TV networks, wouldn't you could really say that the advent of all of that happening is where the quality actually start dipping? Because remember, when there was few networks fighting for ratings, when there was ratings wars and all of that, see all of this advent, I think it's kind of killed all of that now. Because as you said, you've got so much choice, but when there was only so few networks, they had to make hit shows. You know what I mean? They actually had to sit down, think about what they were writing, you know, develop these characters. Now, because there's so much, they don't have to put that much effort in. And you've seen that they rely too much on CGI and all this other new technology that's coming about, rather than actually getting down and writing good stories. That's the difference. I think the advent of streaming and the advent of obviously different networks coming to light has actually diluted the quality that we used to get. And I think that's the catch-22 situation that we're in. Yes, we've got all of this choice, but it's not really of great quality. The majority of it. There are some shows that do get through and some movies that do get through and do well, but on the whole, on the majority, it's actually pretty bad.
I don't know if
What
it's
would you say?
I don't know if it's the blame, because now that we have more varieties, we're looking around for more product, if that makes sense. The writing, as far as the quality, as far as the streaming services, because they're pump. Yeah, you used to have, but I would say in this discussion, when it just used to be like the three or four networks, yeah, they had to put more focus onto it, but we expected them to have better writing, better acting. They were trying to one up the next episode. Okay, we talked about this, let's do that. What if we did this and did that? Uh, Today, it feels like more that the quality's gone down because they're trying to push out so much stuff. Get it, it has to be out next week. There's no choice. We're just going to put a product out there.
No, I'll
But I
agree with
think
you
it's
on
more.
that one. Yeah.
Well, let me finish
I,
it up here. I think it's more of your talent pool. You didn't have the talent at hand that you did back then, who really, I wouldn't say, I can't judge somebody's heart or barometer, their creativity based, with only the exception of based upon what they write. But it feels like they're just putting this out on a conveyor belt, as opposed to, hey, we can focus down on this. They were still under a time crunch, but it felt like now we're doing this to appease the lineage of time to get it out there, as opposed to we're going to focus on the quality and make this a good
mm,
episode that people will stick around. But now, with the impression of this, you can put out a show like we're doing right now live, you know I, and the quality is based upon the observer, by how many likes you get, how many, I'll give you a nice plug, how many subscriptions you get, how many likes you get, and how long people stay and be committed to it, just as if they were watching a TV show back in the 80s and 90s when it was just three or four networks. So with that, I mean, yeah, the quality goes down because you now have this jackass mentality of people who are just going to put content out there for the sake of content and not really focus on too much, but people are going to consume that. So it depends upon what you consider value for the content. and people usually are looking for a quick fix to whatever that thing that you satisfy when you
Yeah,
play.
but
What's that?
I think if you ask consumers though in the UK and Ireland that have to pay a mandatory um, TV license, right? And then on top of that, then you have to pay for if you want satellite TV, you've got to pay for that. And then on top of the satellite TV, then you're paying for all of these streaming services, which are extras on top of your satellite subscription. So if you were to get them all, you're probably looking at around maybe 1.5 grand a month, right? For all now, that'd be all the streaming services that are available in Ireland, right? I just want to give perspective here. If you were to get them all, you'd be looking at nearly a grand and a half, right, with the bills, right? And then you're paying for the type of TV that you're talking about. Yes, they're put under pressure to put out all of this, so they're throwing it out. But you try telling someone from the UK and Ireland that, and they're going to tell you, well, they need to be doing better. I cannot accept that as a person. I don't pay the TV license now because I got rid of the satellite now. We're done. But at the time, I could not accept being a TV license holder and getting shit TV. It wasn't justifying all the money that we were paying, and we didn't have all the streaming services. We had some of them. We had Netflix, we had Disney Plus at one stage, and then when we decided to boycott Disney Plus, we got rid of Disney Plus. We got rid of Netflix, right? We don't use Netflix either, right? We got rid of them all, but we were paying. You don't even want to know what our bill was monthly with them. But let's just put it this way. For the TV that we were watching, or the movies that they were putting up on all of this, it was not worth the money. So we decided just to get in an internet connection now. That's it. And now we can watch whatever we want on our computers. And that way now we don't have the satellite bill on top of us each month. So it's cheaper now. And now we keep one app. We've got Netflix back, but we keep that, and that's the only one. So we can't see any other show. Tough Titty is basically it, because we're refusing to pay for the shit TV that we've been getting for these last few years, and I'm not doing it anymore. So I got rid of my satellite, so I don't have to pay my TV license, because I'm not getting money off me for paying to watch it on a TV when I don't watch my TV anyway. So there you go, it's done.
Well, you're not getting value for what you're paying for.
No,
what you think is
not getting value. So I'm done, and everybody in the UK as well should be done, especially when you're giving your license fee money to the BBC, who are scandal ridden. But we won't get into that. We'll get back to this quickly. I have rabbit ears, no license fee here. Stream the rest, keep my bill with Wi-Fi included. That's it. That's what I mean. People don't realise that you can actually stick rabbit ears in the back of your yoke, and you can get your local TV station still on your TV, and it doesn't cost you. That's the con job. That's the con job of it all. Like you say, you're paying the TV license to keep our national broadcaster going. But you could stick rabbit ears in the back of your TV, which is an aerial for anybody that doesn't know. It's a nickname for aerials, rabbit ears in the back of your TV, and you get 3 stations, like, and that's all you fucking need in this country anyway, because they show shite on it anyway. It's all propaganda. So let's see, we got a couple of more. Daniel here says the Catherine Tate Nan sketches were great. I do agree with you. Catherine Tate show was actually decent bit of comedy, and BBC used to do decent comedy, but not anymore. PD Rich says, and welcome PD, the license fee is a bloody poll tax, but then again, the UK likes to pay for its rubbish with taxes instead of just raising interest rates for a few months. There you go, there's the answer. And as you know, PD is in the industry and knows how it works. There's simple solutions to this, but they're greedy, they want money. Over 40 on-air stations. Yeah, exactly. It's just too much. But back to the comedy. So, PD, obviously you're in the industry, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell us what your favorite all-time comedies were, whether it's movies or TV shows. Let us know, because that's what we're talking about at the moment. I did like the Catherine Tate show, I have to admit. And someone's talking about mushrooms there, so we leave it there.
What?
Jared the Spider, the Munsters, the Addams Family, Brady Bunch, etc. I did like the Munsters and the Addams Family. I never really got into the Brady Bunch, and I have to say I've watched the Brady Bunch. I don't get the hype. I actually don't. Maybe it's, at the time that was the typical American family, or the ideal of the typical American family, and that maybe that's why it did well. But I don't. Not really. I was more of a Wonder Years fan. Forget about the Brady Bunch. Wonder Years was my one growing up. That show was very inspirational, actually. Great little show. Tar the Spider says they feel old. Jesus, Scottish Davros and Friends. 2027, the fee is going anyway. Yeah, but that's still 4 years from now. Why wait 4 years? That's what I'd argue. Why are you waiting 4 years? But anyway, back to TV shows. I suppose I should give you a few examples of TV shows that I obviously grew up with. But some of them are the same. But I suppose I mentioned it earlier. Only Fools and Horses, One Foot in the Grave for me. I did watch Last of the Summer Wine as well, like everybody else. What else did I watch? Obviously, Bill, the Cosby Show, like everybody else, but we won't get into that. Also, Russ Abbott, I don't know, and Noel's House Party as well. They'd be classed. Well, Noel's House Party is more like a variety show, but it still had comedy elements to it. But the Russ Abbott Show, Jeremy Beadle's about, and when he did that, when he used to play the pranks on the public, that was a great show. Grew up with that as well. And movie wise for me, because nobody's really mentioned movies, but movie wise for me, growing up, obviously, I don't get me wrong. I know everybody bangs on about Monty Python and all of those sort of movies. Like, I watched them. It's not my type of comedy, to be quite honest with you. I'm just going to be out straight about it. I know I'll be hated for this, but like, I wouldn't turn them off if they're on if I wanted to laugh and I had a few drinks on me, and then I'll watch them. But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch them, to be quite honest with you. But for me, growing up, my favorite comedian was obviously Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock. Loved their stand-ups, but I also loved their movies as well. Especially Eddie Murphy. I mean, Coming to America. Forget about the second one, but the first one, absolutely brilliant. And then you had 48 Hours and another 48 Hours. Beverly Hills Cop, obviously. Raw, his stand-up show, absolutely probably one of the best comedy shows out there. Robin Williams is another one. And it's sad that Robin Williams is no longer with us, man, because we need his laugh, his brand of comedy. I miss it. The world hasn't been the same. You need a bit of Robin Williams. Got to be honest, he was funny guy. I mean, if you ever watched any of these award ceremony monologues, or when he's giving an award to an actor that he likes, man, it's some of the funniest shit you'll ever see. I mean, that man was on top form. That was a living legend right there.
This is going to be the moment that everybody's going to unfriend me. One of my favorite movies of all time during when I was growing up was Good Morning Vietnam. And I truly thought that he should have won an Academy Award. And he actually did a bit where he was like razzing that he didn't win the award, but he was just razzing on it. He wasn't being serious and stuff like that. But he was nominated for Best Actor for that movie, and I thought he should have gotten it. I thought it was an impressive, I was an impressive role. But after a while, with the exception of that movie, what things may come or something, I can't remember that. What dreams may come or something like that. If you look at every Robin Williams movie, it's the same, over and over and over again. When you go to Dead Poet Society, Patch Adams, he becomes, this guy that walks in, he's the anomaly, and then there's always these people that want to take him down, and there's some kid there's somebody who's involved who gets really close to him, and they end up dying. In all three movies, that's happened. With the first one, I would say the bombing, nobody really close died. But there were soldiers that died that were getting really close because that one kid got close to him and wouldn't tell him about the bomb. And it's all the same movie if you really think about that. Hello, me again. Hey, Matt. And that's why I kind of fell from grace, because all of his comedy was kind of the same. You were expecting it. And he tried to reboot stuff later on. And the only time that I thought that he was taking some kind of fun risks was the night at the museum, where it was still former Robin Williams, but he was playing a caricature of a character. And it was the same Robin Williams, but I was kind of getting a little redundant now. And I think that after a while, because I liked him also when they were doing, you guys have Red Nose. I forgot what it was here, but it was for the homeless people. God, it was on HBO every year. Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg were doing, Comic Relief, to try to solve the homeless. It was those three hosts, and Robin Williams always came out, and he was doing kind of the same shtick, but he was more of a character actor. He was more from Mork and Mindy, and it just kind of felt like it kept going into every role, and it was like at some point it's just going to subside. I just need to take a break from Robin Williams. But when he tragically ended things, I sit back and kind of like, well, if he was able to keep going for another 20 years, what else would he have shelled out? And those are the kind of things that you miss, the chance and the opportunity that he might have taken or gone to, because you could tell he was trying to get out of that mold.
Well, he was, because he did 1 hour. He did 1 hour Photo, which was more of a serious movie, and he did another movie as well, which was a serious movie. So he was trying to move in to that kind, and that's what a lot of the comedian actors do, is when they kind of do have their fill of doing certain movies. There was a rumor as well that the studio were trying to get him to do a Mrs. Doubtfire too, and he just wasn't on board with it at all, because obviously he thought the character was done with, and obviously you could do a sequel, of course, because he'd be back in the makeup and all of that, but he wasn't keen on reliving that Mrs. Doubtfire experience. And people say, if you listen to conspiracy theories, is that was one of the contributing factors of him obviously not being here anymore. Whether that's true or not now, it's just pure speculation, but that's what was being floated about. Let me see. No problem. We got Daniel. 2 points of lager and a packet of crisps. Yeah, I watched it. I kind of got into it, but then I lost interest very quickly. But decent show.
There we go.
And there he is. He's got his whole background. He's 2 mics behind his head. He looks like he has rabbit ears, folks. Look.
There you go. Oh, my hair is just not doing. I need a haircut.
Well, if you think your hair is bad, look there.
Yeah, but at least you're tied back. Mine is just. Mine is. It looks like really, I just got out of bed.
Let me see. TARDIS Spider says, here it is. The comedy movies that were different are the funniest thing. The Jerk, Steve Martin, and Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, I recently we rewatched Captain Ron and what was a House Sitter. So obviously Captain Ron with Kurt Russell and Martin Short. Absolutely funny movie about a family that Martin Short's family inherit this boat. They have to go out and get the boat. They realize that the boat is not actually what it was supposed to be, and then they hire a captain. But the company hires a captain, but when they find out the boat mightn't be up to scratch, they get this cheap ass captain to come in. That's Kurt Russell, and obviously then shit starts happening, and it's one of the funniest thing. People will say it's a bit of a rip off of Overboard, but just and the same type of movie Kurt Russell did. But you have never seen it, you should watch it. Captain Ron. It's a great movie. I only recently watched it, and it's funny. And I mean, it's got Martin Short in it, so it's gonna be a funny second movie. And then I watched Steve Martin with obviously Goldie Hawn in House Sitter, and that's a cracking movie. I forgot how funny that movie actually was as well. I mean, Steve Martin, come on. I mean, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I mean, iconic movie. I mean, I forgot to even mention that. That's still to this day. I only recently rewatched that, and it's normally a winter time movie. I watched that because it's like a Christmas movie to me. But just for somewhere I saw it, they said, I'm gonna watch it again. I sat there. Man, that scene in the bedroom is iconic, man, and it still gets to me. Still gets to me every time because John Candy is no longer here. But I suppose I never mentioned John Candy, but he's probably the comedian and the movies of the comedian that I religiously watched. I've watched every single John Candy movie, even the shit ones, right? Because he's in it and he's still great, even if the movie isn't so great. But I mean, he didn't do too many duds. That's the thing. He actually has some great movies. Uncle Buck is another iconic movie. I mean, I love that movie as well.
Well, I wanna go back and see when I was growing up as a kid. This was also on PBS, Second City TV, and that's where all those folks came from. When you have Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas and John Candy, they all came from Second City, and they were a comedy trip. And I just want to see how everything started on that side. And I watched it growing up as a kid, but I never appreciated it because I thought it was a take on Saturday Night Live, which was the crowning jewel. But it had its own thing, and I meant like one of my guilty pleasures is I can't think of their names now. Shoot, if anybody wants to throw it in the chats, the Canadian guys. Oh god, Strange Brew was the movie. Take off, you hoser. God, I can tell you the lines, but I can't tell you the characters. Dave Thomas and what was it? Rick Moranis were the characters. Now you're gonna make me look. Hang on a second. Bill, shoot, they were the guys who were launched into the space. Strange Brew. What are the character names? Oh, Bob and Doug. Bob and Doug McKenzie. Yeah, they were the Canadians out there. And then the whole irony of that is when we first launched our first rocket post the shuttle launches, the gentlemen who were on there in the rocket, their name was Bob and Doug, and there were those memes that said we're finally taking off. So, but I want to go back and see how things started and how much they evolved when they finally got into the movies, when they got into their fame. So Second City TV, if you can find it, I'm sure I could probably YouTube some of the episodes, but I would like to see there. Jamie, you like the Connors? I haven't seen Connors since Roseanne left. I kind of think that was the whole show, but if you like it, I just, for whatever reason, when a character leaves, especially in the, it's like taking Captain Kirk out of Star Trek. It'd be like that.
Yeah, it's like taking the Doctor out of Doctor Who as well.
Yeah,
It doesn't work.
exactly. And just like, okay, we're gonna have a series.
Well, it's not that it doesn't work. It's not the same show, and once it's not
Right.
treated like the same show, I suppose, then I think there's no harm. And look, they kind of have done a lot of that these days because they like cancelling people. So a lot of changes do be made. But again, it's whatever you're into. If you enjoy it and you think it's funny and you think it's well done and I've heard that it is. So and the cast have stepped up. So that's good. That's good. But I'm glad they called it the Connors. Because obviously Roseanne not being there, you can't call it Roseanne. So so it's at least they've made it clear it's a different show. So I have no problem with that. Spin-offs. We've had spin-offs from great comedy shows in the past. So we had Cheers, and then we had Frasier. What was it? Frasier, wasn't it?
I
And
think,
then
if
we
I'm
had
not mistaken, Frasier
Becker.
lasted longer than its mothership, Cheers.
Yeah, and then
If
you
I'm
had
correct, the
Becker
spin-off
as well.
ran longer. So
Yeah,
that was
and then you had Becker as well, which was funny. I love that Ted Danson's show. That was brilliant. I love that. Dr. Becker, he played, didn't he? Used to love that. So there's some great comedies. Again, America gets a bit of stick with comedy. Nowadays, they totally lost the plot. I mean, none of them are funny. You know what I mean? But back then, they made some quality comedy. They did. Even the UK, but comedy has gone shit. I mean, BBC are afraid to make any sort of comedy that's even a little bit controversial, and ITV is the same. They don't like making controversial comedies. Channel 4 kind of do, but they're a mixed bag now. They used to be the forefront, actually, and they used to break down barriers, Channel 4, with their comedy. But it's less so nowadays because we're living in an era where everybody gets cancelled. So everybody is walking along and tippy toeing around. Whereas if I was a comedian, I wouldn't give a shit like Ricky Gervais. I wouldn't give a shit. But doing me comedy, anybody's offended. Well, don't come to me show. Simple as that. I don't need your money.
well.
Understand?
The thing is that with Ricky Gervais, and this is nothing against him, I do appreciate that he's coming out, and especially Rowan Atkinson. He came out and he's a big proprietor of freedom of speech. And he did that whole monologue that you can find on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen it.
He's like, "Don't. Why are you limiting comedy? That's the thing. It's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be open." What was it? Lenny Bruce said, if anybody wants to make sure that quote is right, he said to the fact that every joke is a revolution, and we've lost that when you try to stifle the revolution, try to stifle the joke, and the comedy is only in the eye of the beholder of what you want. And as always, people say, if you don't like what you're seeing, move on, go somewhere else, but don't shut it down. No, I got to leave. I got to take care of the dog for just a little bit before I go back. But anything you wanted to say to wrap it up? It's just a big.
No, you do your channel shout outs and I'll wrap up so you can head off. So you can go ahead there.
Okay. Tonight we will be at 11 o'clock UK time. We will be premiering. Everybody's been talking about it, so we're just kind of catching up on the 14th Doctor Sonic Screwdriver. We're also going to add a little bit to it into the discussion where we're going to be talking about our favorite Sonic screwdrivers, as well as our discussion of what we think about 14th Sonic Screwdriver. And plus, for people who may not be familiar, we're going to give a history lesson on the Sonic, where it came from, what started it all out there, and go through the different Sonics that in time, what happened to it, because the Sonic did disappear for quite some time before it made its comeback, and how it's different interpretations between like the Eighth Doctor, River Song, everybody who's kind of had a Sonic along the way. Doctor was able to have female and non-white actors, but not companions that don't come from the modern day. If you don't like it, don't watch it or attend. Exactly. Just move on out there. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can't wait to see you next week. And if you can, please like, share, subscribe here on the TARDIS Zone, as well as the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And if you're more than welcome to come Thank you, PD, for the links. You're more welcome to come over at 11 o'clock tonight sharp and talk about sonic screwdrivers. What's your favorite? What do you think about the 14th Doctor Sonic? And where do you think Sonics are going to be going when we go to Shooty's time and beyond? So thank you, everybody. Have a great day and stay safe. We'll catch you next time.
Fantastic. And thanks for coming on, Christian. So there you go. We'll wrap up there. I hope you have enjoyed this stream. Obviously, something a little bit different as we're gonna do. And as I said, so we're back tomorrow with PD and Queen Charlotte. If you want to go and obviously listen to some Doctor Who content, go and check out The Legend of the Travelling TARDIS and any other YouTube channel that covers Doctor Who. As you know, we're not covering it, so I don't really give a crap, to be honest. Even though I will admit I do like the screwdriver, but it's irrelevant whether I like the screwdriver or not. I'm just not supporting BBC or watching anything that BBC throw out, and that includes Doctor Who. We have lost a few subscribers, which I thought would happen, because obviously a lot of people did first originally come to this channel because I discussed Doctor Who, and I knew that some people would unsubscribe, but not as many as I thought. So I have to say thank you to everybody that has stuck around. But look, there is plenty in the world of entertainment to talk about, and just because I'm not talking about Doctor Who, I will always say, there are other YouTubers out there that cover this sort of stuff, and I have no problem with giving those channels a mention. If you want your Doctor Who fill, go to those channels like Gobby Guy, like the Space Book, Type 40, and the other channels out there that cover Doctor Who if you want that. I just can't cover it and can't support an organisation that covers up for dirty, rotten scumbags. Simple as that. So that's it. Matt, that happens every month. They do a monthly purge. So just when you do your streams, just remind people to make sure that they're still subscribed, like I'm about to do now. Make sure that you still subscribe to the channel, folks. And do us a favor, don't just turn on the notifications on YouTube. Whatever device you're using, whether it's a mobile phone or your desktop, go into the actual app itself and turn on the notifications there so you don't miss out, because the YouTube notification. Listen, I'll give you a laugh before we head off. Give you a laugh. I got notification on the Man United channel for a stream I did on this channel, because obviously I'm following the channel, because why wouldn't I? 3 days later, so they're screwing with the TARDIS zone, but my streams are being seen on the other channel straight away, right? So do me a favor, like, share, especially share, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We'll be doing a lot more. It is. I'm gonna have a think now about what next week's topic is going to be for me and Christian to delve into, and I will let you know in due course. But as I said, there are people out there that are willing to cover this shit show that is Doctor Who, so go and subscribe to them and show them some support, and I will see you back here tomorrow with Queen Charlotte and PD Rich, where we'll be having some chit chat. So come and join us for that. We really do enjoy those streams, and we'll have plenty to talk about, I'm pretty sure. And Lindsay just said there she went to see the Barbie movie. Sorry, my computer is slow here. I'm trying to actually knock things off. and everything is running slow because I've got the stupid camera on. What are you looking for, love? Okay. Right, look, I'm going to end here because for some weird reason it's telling me that me thing is broken. So I'm going to end here before there's any technical difficulties. So thank you for joining me, folks. It's not even changing now. Are you for real, man? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to there we go. We're back. No, I didn't press the wrong button. For some weird reason, this computer cannot handle a camera and a mic. And the mic and the camera are connected, but for some weird reason, it seems to overload this computer. Anyway, saw the Barbie movie Saturday. It was quite good, actually, says Lindsay. And then, anyway, catch you later. I hope to catch the next one. Yeah, not a bother, folks. So I will end here before we actually start going gaga again. So we'll get rid of the banner there. There we go. And we will leave it there. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Have a good one, folks. Look out on the other channels for streams because we will be, obviously, we do a lot of streams on different channels. So go and check all of them out. And as I said, myself and PD Rich will be here tomorrow with Queen Charlotte. And we will be discussing lots of different things. And we've got, oh, there's a big military helicopter. We're being invaded. Oh, I'm only messing, we're not being invaded. Nobody would dare invade Ireland because it wouldn't end well for them. Anyway, have a good one, folks. Bye-bye.